a by-election there. The point is, there is a by-election, and voters deserve to be able to go and vote for the party they want to vote for. You've disenfranchised anybody in Clacton who may have wanted to vote for you. You don't care. You don't want to represent them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. The political establishment is running scared, and their refusal to face the voters in Clacton has just exposed them on national television. In this explosive TalkTV clash, watch Alex Phillips absolutely grill Conservative MP Mel Stride over the Tories' pathetic boycott of Nigel Farage's by-election. Instead of fielding a candidate and putting their record to the test, the political elite are terrified of a democratic defeat. Hit subscribe and let's watch their narrative collapse in real time.
Finally, do you think it was a sensible move optically to join a boycott against Nigel Farage standing in Clacton? Because depending, and I think with this one, people will regard the situation based upon on their own bias, on their own political bias. If you support Farage and reform, and if you think the establishment have failed this country for many decades, you might look at Count Binface as quite emblematic of the establishment. If you're somebody who doesn't like Nigel Farage, you might find this whole farcical thing quite entertaining. But is there not a risk that a lot of people out there think that basically people like the Conservative Party boycotting this by-election, when they didn't boycott the Makerfield by-election or that Aberdeen by-election, is frankly laughing at them, disregarding them, treating their voice and their franchise as a joke?
No, I completely disagree with that, and I don't think what has happened with this by-election bears comparison to the other ones that you have mentioned. The reason for the Clacton by-election is that Nigel Farage has decided to trigger that, and the reason for him deciding to trigger that is the scrutiny that he's been receiving around a £5 million donation to him personally from a crypto billionaire based in Thailand, and the fact that that
who used to donate to the Conservative
registered.
Party?
Well, whoever
he did,
Christopher Harbour did or didn't in the past donate to. No, but my point is, irrespective of what his previous donations were about, that's not the issue at hand here. The issue at hand here is Nigel Farage did not register or declare that donation. It's being investigated by the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner, who will determine whether the rules have been broken or not.
But
and what Nigel Farage is simply doing is by having this. Sorry, if I could just finish. What he's doing is basically throwing sand in everybody's face and trying to distract from what is going on here by holding this by-election, which incidentally is going to come at huge expense to local taxpayers who are going to have to fund it.
Surely the inevitable aim from challenging him on not declaring this donation was to make him have a by-election in Clacton anyway. So what's the difference between having one now, when all of the stuff's in the newspaper, all the reporting's been happened, and he's just said, fine, you want me to have to face the voters, let's do it, and you've all gone no?
Well, no, hold on.
Look, at the end of the day, by-election's called. Well, don't the people of Clacton deserve to see? Forget whether you think Nigel Farage should have called it or not. One could say Andy Burnham shouldn't have been having that by-election in Makerfield because he shouldn't have, they shouldn't have stood down a local MP to try and ship in the Greater Manchester Med, triggering a by-election there. The point is, there is a by-election, and voters deserve to be able to go and vote for the party they want to vote for. You've disenfranchised anybody in Clacton who may have wanted to vote for you. You don't care. You don't want to represent them. You don't want to give them the option.
So I think every by-election has to be looked at on its merits, and of course all the individual circumstances vary from one by-election to the next. But what is happening here is quite clear, is that a multi-million-pound donation or gift was made to Nigel Farage. He failed to declare that. It is being investigated by the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards, which has not concluded its investigations, but it's quite clear that the fact that Nigel Farage has triggered this by-election is all about obfuscating.
Let's talk about the people.
And ducking
people?
transparency.
What about voters? Why don't they ever
I
get
think the
thought
voters
about?
do matter.
Do they? Because why aren't you putting
Well,
a candidate up then? They matter. You'd be saying Nigel Farage shouldn't have called this by-election. It was the wrong thing to do, but we're going to fight it.
Alex, this is a farcical by-election, and I think most people looking at this see it for what it is, which is an attempt to obfuscate and avoid scrutiny. And ultimately, of course, if Farage wins this by-election, of course, whilst the investigation has been paused, it will still then continue, and depending on the outcome, there may be yet another by-election. But the basis on which this has been called is not about democracy. It's about trying to obfuscate the fact that he's in a difficult position. The same way, he used to jump up and down at every 5 minutes he was at a press conference. He's run away and hidden over the last few weeks for exactly the same reason.
Mel, look, thank you ever so much for taking time to talk to us today. Really appreciate it. Mel Stride MP, who's also the Shadow. At the end of the day, I think voters have every right to say nobody in politics seems to give a hoot about us. It's optional whether we have a by-election. They'll try cancel them, they'll change the way it's done, they will boycott them, they will call them when nobody in Makerfield was asking for one. And it just feels like democracy now is optional in this country. And I think actually, and I'm not doing this because I'm saying Nigel Farage should have called that by-election. I'm not saying that, because part of me thinks you should have waited for the inevitable by-election, but I think he calculated they'd stitch it up as much as they could, leave the clock running on this, they'll be preparing, they'll be colluding, so on and so forth. So he wanted to give himself the best chance. Now, whether it's the right or the wrong thing to do, it depends, I think, on what you think about Nigel Farage and whether, at the moment, this is lawfare trying to stitch him up, or whether, there needs to be genuine scrutiny of what's going on. But it's clear, isn't it, that the political establishment just pick and choose if they fight an election, on what grounds, how that election is done, whether it takes place in the first place. Democracy is optional. They want to play only if they can win. And at the same time, nobody's sitting here going, well, what about the people? Don't they get to have a blimmin' voice?
Well, with all due respect to Mel Stride, this is one of the reasons I don't see myself ever going into politics. Mel Stride can stand there and say the party line. He cannot believe that this isn't circumnavigating democracy by playing a political game to basically try and undermine Nigel Farage because he's a political opponent. We talked previously about how the left can coalesce. The right are terrible at coalescing. I understand why the Greens and the Lib Dems and Labour might pull this trick, but the Tories, why are they getting involved in this? They're getting involved in this because it's purely about self-preservation. It's each for their own. It's not about the constituents, it's not about the country, it's about preserving the Conservative Party because they are very much on the back foot. What Nigel Farage did, for right or for wrong, was jumping ahead of the system, a system which is working deliberately against him. Now, for my money, the £5 million donation is within those 12 months and he is likely to be in a little bit of trouble for it. But he's playing against a process that's unfair. The process is completely designed. By the way, they obtained the information likely to be in a less than legal way. They've then used it against him. Nobody's looking at this. The Tories seem to believe that they own the right. And unfortunately, you can only own the right if you are right-wing. And about 10% of the Conservatives...
if people actually want to vote for you, and they didn't in the last election.
And that's my point, because they are not right-wing, so people don't vote for them. And the reason they're not considered right-wing is because of all the disastrous policies and things that they did, from the Boris wave down, from locking us down harder and longer, for not protecting our country's borders, for not conserving British values, which is really all that their modus operandi should be. It doesn't make any sense to me. So Mel Stride can toe the party line and say whatever he likes, but surely Mel Stride's not a stupid man. Surely he knows that this circumnavigates the democratic process. So what if this is what Nigel Farage has done? Fight him. Yeah,
well, it's the same as they said we're going to boycott the Makerfield by-election. I mean, it's just...
Which they could have done, by the way.
They could have done. This sense of picking and choosing if they want to partake in democracy or not, or, changing the rules of the game, messing about with the competition rather than just entering it pure and simple. It's been going on too long. It's been going on since Brexit. It's 2016 that started all of this connivance, and this all doesn't matter. The voter's voice doesn't matter. If we don't like it, we'll overturn it. We'll use every trick at the book and invent some new ones to make sure that we get the result we want by messing about with the system. I was going to use a swear word then. And I was like, and it didn't begin with an M. But, I mean, look, people can make up their own minds. They will make up their own minds about this. I think that this sort of smug countenance at the moment the establishment have got when it comes to Farage versus bin face, I think that will turn.
I seriously do not believe, and I'll be held to account on this because I'm saying it live on national television. I do not believe Count Binface will win that election. I do not believe that the people of Clacton do not support Nigel Farage. He will increase his majority, and Count Binface will get a significant number of votes. But all that's going to do is illuminate the message that Nigel Farage wants the rest of the country to see.
Yeah.
Is this a democracy? He has said, and he could lose. There's no way he's guaranteed to win. I'm saying I think he will win. But he is saying, look, I'm giving this to the people of Clacton to decide. And if they decide once and then he wins and then he goes back and 3 people in a standards committee say, no, that wasn't good enough, you've got to go back. What
you just witnessed between Alex Phillips and Mel Stride is the exact moment the Conservative Party's claim to defending democracy completely collapsed. When an establishment architect sits on national television and justifies boycotting a parliamentary by-election simply because it doesn't suit their narrative, you are no longer watching a confident political movement. You are watching an elite monopoly that is terrified of facing the electorate. To understand why this Clacton boycott is so breathtakingly arrogant, look at the undeniable timeline of establishment hypocrisy. When Nigel Farage triggered a by-election for August 2026 to put his political mandate directly into the hands of ordinary voters, the legacy parties immediately closed ranks, branded the election a stunt, and point-blank refused to field candidates. But look at what happened just 1 month earlier, in June 2026, during the Makerfield by-election. The Labour Party orchestrated an entirely manufactured contest by having a sitting MP step down for the sole purpose of parachuting Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham back into Parliament to launch an internal leadership challenge against Keir Starmer. Did the Conservatives boycott Makerfield out of moral outrage over wasted taxpayer money or political gamesmanship? Absolutely not. They happily fielded a candidate and legitimized Labour's backroom power play. Do you see the double standard? When a by-election serves the internal career ambitions of the political elite, it is treated as democratic business as usual. But the exact second an election threatens the establishment's grip on power and puts their 14 years of systemic failure to the test, they refuse to compete and hide behind boycotts. The ruling class expects you to quietly accept a system where democracy is only valid when they control the outcome. But the era of managed decline is over. Thank you for watching Julian Discourse. If you refuse to let the establishment pick and choose when democracy applies, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.